Congressman Joseph Kennedy III is the latest in his storied clan to be carrying the torch President John F. Kennedy spoke of in his 1961 inaugural address. It's a family legacy very much on his mind, as he recently told CBS This Morning's Gayle King.
Massachusetts Congressman Joe Kennedy III's home is filled with family photos and keepsakes.
That's Bobby Kennedy, clearly.
It is, and my dad.
Keepsakes that also happen to be national treasures.
It's one of the handful of photos that I know of that still is around of my dad and my grandfather.
His grandfather, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, was assassinated in 1968. At the time, Joe Kennedy's father was just 15.
Both of them in a very casual moment, but an authentic one.
At 37, Congressman Kennedy is the latest of the legendary Democratic clan to pick up the political mantle. He's well aware of all that implies.
Every time you give a speech, anytime you go somewhere, don't you think you're being compared to all the Kennedys that came before you?
But so on the one hand, yes, I am. On the other hand, how the heck do you compare yourself to President Kennedy on every speech, right? You're not going to be as good. It's just not going to happen.
He's not letting that stop him from speaking his mind. Last year, it was Kennedy's stand against cuts to the health care law that first put the three-term congressman in the national spotlight.
Chairman, I was struck last night by a comment that I heard made by Speaker Ryan.
You responded to Paul Ryan because he had called for a plan to repeal the Affordable Care Act, an act of mercy.
With all due respect to our speaker, he and I must have read different scripture.
I have a hard time understanding how cutting the program in our country that provides health care to working families by $800 billion can be classified as mercy.
Now he says he wants Congress to take action to protect kids from school shootings, but he says he's frustrated with the direction of the gun control debate.
To have these absurd conversations about arming teachers and turning our schools into fortresses.
You do feel that's absurd?
I think it's absurd. I think it's absurd on so many levels.
As an elected official, though, what do you see your role in the shootings? Is it, do you feel empowered? Do you feel guilt? Do you feel
it's horrifying?
Beaten down?
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's horrifying because we've gone through this over and over and over again. I have no doubt that at some point historians will look back at this moment and say, government failed our kids. The question is how quickly will we correct that mistake?
Mm-hmm. Kennedy decided to get into politics back in 2012 when longtime Massachusetts Congressman Barney Frank retired. But before he launched his campaign, his father, also a former Massachusetts congressman, had unexpected advice.
The person that actually pushed me hardest not to do this was my dad. Because
he pushed you not to do it?
Yeah.
What did your dad say to you?
He said, make sure that this is something that, one, you're ready for, and two, that you find somewhere inside you that this is a commitment that is coming from you. Because if it is not, he said, people will tell.
Our Congressman Joe Kennedy is here. Please welcome him.
He says he fights for national issues like equal pay for equal work and protecting benefits for seniors with his constituents in mind. Still, as he told talk show host Jimmy Kimmel, he is against legalizing marijuana beyond medical use, even though it's legal in his home state.
I realize my views on this are not exactly in line with...
You'll never win California if you don't figure this out.
That's true.
American public will give you an awful lot of slack on how you voted on one issue or another if they feel like you have a reason. What will get you elected through a tough election cycle and what will get you kicked out when you should have won is whether your constituents feel like their member of Congress respects them or not.
High five for Mommy.
And that's true of his most important constituent, his wife Lauren. They married in 2012 after meeting as classmates at Harvard Law School.
So at what point does it go, hey Joe, hey Lauren? At what point does that happen?
I'm not sure when it went hey Joe. It went hey Lauren pretty quickly. It took a little while for her to warm up.
And what was it for you, Lauren, that you thought, okay, because you knew he was a Kennedy? Or did you know he was a Kennedy?
I didn't know he was one of those Kennedys. I grew up in California, so grew up out there, you get a little less of, the sort of, here's what each one of them looks like and where are they now.
Yes.
So which was kind of nice. I got the opportunity just to get to know Joe for who he was. Then the rest is history.
But not so fast. First, Joe Kennedy III of the famously Catholic liberal Kennedys had to meet Lauren's Protestant conservative family.
Quite a moment for them when I sort of announced that I was coming home with my new boyfriend, who's Joe Kennedy.
They now have 2 children, Eleanor, who's 2, and baby James was born in December.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
A month later, he was tapped for the high-profile Democratic response to President Trump's State of the Union address. But not everything went according to plan.
You are waiting for the president to end, which took a little while this time around. He went a little long. I was in this unfortunate circumstance of trying to balance water consumption and chapstick application and messed up on one of those.
Oh, ChapStick-gate. I forgot all about that.
Thank you.
It would be easy to dismiss this past year as chaos.
During his speech, a shine at the corner of his mouth drove some viewers to distraction.
From our angle, all you could sort of see was the lights reflecting off it. And so when we got in the car ride home, I immediately started looking at Twitter to see if if indeed his lips had looked a little extra shiny. And
Turns out Twitter could be mean.
Yeah, you don't say.
it's a vicious Twitterverse out there.
But the viciousness didn't stick. Joe Kennedy III remains a rising star, in part because he seems to rise above the fray. And in politics, that could be worth everything.
Former chairman of the Democratic National Committee said this about you. This is a Kennedy who could be president. A must-watch. Should we be watching you in 2020, Joe Kennedy III?
I wouldn't hold your breath on that one. No. I happen to be in a position where the moment you have one job, the first thing everybody wants to know is when are you trying to get another one? I've got a pretty full plate, as you know. The job is the easiest part of my day, and it's not even close. There's nothing so humbling as being a parent to young children.
That's a little professional.